I have to be honest, guys, I think this is going to be the most boring video of them all. And that's because we're doing a lot of repetitive work here when we're scaffolding out our components, sort of creating the skeleton and the base for the components. But as I said before, I think it's good. I think you shouldn't just copy and paste the code when you're learning something. So I highly recommend that you actually write this as I do in the video. We'll go through it quite quickly as it's quite the same work we're doing here all the time. Please don't copy and paste it. It'll be worth it further on. So what components do we need now for the homepage? Well, if we look at the app, we have some sort of hero image and we have our search bar. We have a grid and we also have our movie thumbs. We have a load more button and a loading spinner. So let's start from the top. We go into the code editor and we start with a hero image. So in the hero image folder, create a new file that's called heroimage.js. And exactly like before, we import React from React. Then we also have to import our CSS file. Then we create a functional component with an ES6 arrow function. And for this one, we are going to receive props. And props, we're going to talk about that in the next video. So just for now, just write props inside a parenthesis, and we talk more about that later on. We will return something, and for now we're just returning a div that says hero image. We export it as well, like this. And this is good for now, it's enough, so we go on to the next component. And then we have the search bar. So select the search bar folder and create a new file called searchbar.js. And as before, we import React. This one is going to be a class component that have state, so also import the component by itself. We also need to import Font Awesome for this one, as we're going to use some icons from the Font Awesome library. It's already pre-installed. We did that when we did the npm install command, so we just have to import it. Import Font Awesome from React Font Awesome. And lastly, we import our CSS file just as before. So we create a class component with the name search bar that extends component. We can also write the state as an empty object for now, and we'll return to that later. The class component also needs a render function. And inside the render function, we'll return what we want to return. Whoops, return. And for now, as usual, we're just returning a div with search bar inside it. And we'll export default search bar. This is good for now with that component. What else do we need? We check the app and we have our grid and our movie thumb. So we start with our grid. So go into the forCallGrid folder and create a new file called forCallGrid.js. And you guessed it, we import React from React. We also import our CSS file forCallGrid.css, and we create a functional component forCallGrid. For this one, we're also going to receive props. So write props inside a parenthesis in the arrow function. And we'll return, as before, just a div with forCallGrid inside it. We'll export default forCallGrid. And this is good for now with this one. Then we have our movie thumb. So create a new file in the movie thumb directory that's called moviethumb.js. We'll import React from React. And we also import our CSS file like this. And we create a functional component, movie thumb. And we're going to receive props for this one as well. We return something, and yes, we're going to return a div with the movie thumb text inside it. We export default the movie thumb. And this is it for this one. And we check what do we have left. Yeah, we have a load more component, and we also have the spinner component. So we'll create them now. So if we create the load more button, we go into the load more button folder, create a new file, load more btn.js. We import React from React. We import our CSS file, load more button.css, and we create a functional component that is also going to receive some props later on. We return a div with load more text inside it. And we export default load more button. And the last one we'll have to do is the spinner. And this one we're actually going to finish the whole component as it's a very small component. So we create a new file called spinner.js. And just as before, we import React, you know this by now, from React. And we also import the CSS file that's called spinner.css. We create a functional component called spinner, and this one is not going to receive any props, so we just write it like this. We return, and we return a div with a class name of loader, like this. We export it like this. And that's about all we need to do with the components for now. We just have to import them and scaffold out our home component. So firstly, we're going to import them so we can use them in the component. So first we'll import our hero image from, where do we have it? In elements, hero image and hero image. We import the search bar from elements, search bar and search bar. Then we import our for call grid from elements, for call grid and for call grid. Whoops. Then we import our movie thumb from elements, movie thumb there, and movie thumb. What else do we have? We have to import our load more button from elements, load more button and load more button. And lastly, we have to import our spinner from elements, spinner and spinner, like that. And the CSS we already imported. So now we're just going to put the empty components here so we know the structure of the home page. First of all, we can make a class name for the wrapper component in the home page. We'll call that RMDB home. That is going to be our wrapper. That's hold everything we're going to return in this component. First of all, we have a hero image. Then we have our search bar. What else do we have here? We have our 4-column grid. And after that, we are going to show the spinner actually before the load more button. And load more button last. The movie thumbs are placed inside the 4-column grid later. I show that later for you how we do this. So this is about it. We have some kind of a skeleton of our homepage and our needed components. So in the next film, I'm going to talk more about props and state before we go on and actually do some real serious coding here to get the info from the API and also get the data to the different components. We're just going to make sure that everything's working, that we imported our different components correctly. So we check our app, we see that we have a hero image, we have a search bar, the 4-call grid, and we have a spinner that's spinning like crazy now. And we're going to do some conditional rendering there later on and only show it when we fetch data. And we have our load more button. So that's about it for now. See you in the next video.